Hi, everybody. My name is Jamison Tate, and I am one of the lead learners for the Southern Regional Education Board. I have the awesome privilege of getting to teach you guys a little bit about Labview, kind of a small introduction for beginners, how the interface works, and some of the basic things that you need in order to be successful when using this program. So I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of an introduction here. So these are going to be most of the things that we are going to be covering. So as I said before, my name is Jamie Tate. I'm a lead learner for the Innovations in Science and Technology course here for SREB. I am also the STEM teacher at Yukon High School in Yukon, Oklahoma. So I teach Innovations of Science and Technology courses 1, 2, and 3 out here in Oklahoma. So some of the topics of discussion that we're going to cover within this video and then subsequent videos are these. So in video number 1, this one right here, one is just basic introduction. I'm going to call this LabView 101. So the idea of opening LabView, the difference between a front panel and a block diagram, the controls palette versus the functions palette, writing our first program. We're actually going to launch a program in this video, how to resize and color, run stop methods. So that's going to be the basic one. We're going to go back to basic computer programming and write a hello world file. So just basic string function, putting a constant and then typing in run. Okay. So video number 2 is making data communicate. So what we're going to be doing here is learning the difference between controls and indicators. One of those, we're going to be able to manipulate things. One of them is just going to show something. Using math in LabView, so figuring out how to actually create an equation in LabView. And by doing this, we're actually going to create a Fahrenheit to Celsius converter. We're also going to be doing some resizing and color in this one as well. And then we're going to be using what is known as the highlight execution. I think is really cool because it actually shows us step by step how to do things and how the program is working after you click run. The third video is going to be creating a sub-VI, so kind of how you can take a piece of your LabVIEW code and you can call upon it in other applications later. I'll kind of dive into that a little bit more in that video, but you actually can take, say, what we're going to be doing is taking that equation to calculate Fahrenheit to Celsius and create it into its own, what is known as sub-VI. That way we can save it and use it later if we had to call for it in another program that is not the one we were using. Video number 4 is going to be charts and graphs. So what's the difference between a chart and the difference between that and a graph? And connecting data points to graphs. One of the best, I come from a statistics background, a data visualization background, and data is everywhere. And the easiest way to place it in a form that the user can most easily dissect is in a chart or a graph. Next one is going to be case structures. So if-then statements, true-false statements. If you're coming from a programming background, that's what a case structure is. That's the term for LabVIEw. So we're going to cover what is a case structure, what is a true-false toggle, and then utilizing more than 2 case options. Lastly, we're going to cover loops. So for versus while loops. What's the difference there? We're going to do a for loop demonstration as well as a while loop demonstration. So we'll go ahead and start off with video number 1, kind of a LabVIEW overview. I'm going to go ahead and open LabVIEW here. So this is kind of the opening screen of what we will typically see anytime we open LabVIEW. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a program. You can also open an existing program. So if you've been sent one already, you can actually go in. It just works just like a file open for a Microsoft Word document or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. What I'm going to see here is I'm going to see 2 separate deals. Okay, I'm going to see what is known as a front panel as well as a block diagram. I'm going to go up here to Window. I'm going to tile them. Oops. Pardon me. Mouse slip. Go up here to Window and go to Tile left and right. I'm going to place them one right next to the other. So these are the 2 main diagrams that you are going to see whenever you open up your LabVIEW. You don't necessarily have to use one or the other. Typically, you're just going to be using the front panel just to run the program. But if you're actually going to be getting into coding, we're going to start using this block diagram here. So the difference between the two of them is the front panel is basically just your user interface. It's what you're going to use to kind of just drop in different measurement tools or anything like that. The block diagram over here, though, is basically the functional code that goes along with whatever you place down here. What you notice is anytime I drop something in here, it places a corresponding GUI on the other side. So this piece right here corresponds with this portion of code over here. And then this slide corresponds with this other section of code over here. And if I was to delete the two of them, they would all disappear. So what we're gonna notice is those everything we put over on this side has a code back behind. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys two separate things. So if I go in here and I right click on the front panel, I'm gonna pull up what is called the controls palette. And just like I was doing before, it's going to give us all of the different options of what we can put in here. So what we're going to be using a little bit later, actually clicked on the wrong one here, is the slide function. I'll go ahead and put him in here, and I can resize him. That's going to be the basic kind of starter point of our Fahrenheit to Celsius calculator. So the controls palette is kind of think about what you want your user to see. Okay, and that's going to be all of those options right in here. However, what if I come over to the block diagram and I right click? We see something different. Now I see a functions palette pop up. And these are going to be all the different things that we might need. So one of the biggest things that we'll probably use in the Fahrenheit to Celsius converter are these math functions. Or arithmetic functions, excuse me. So we're going to be using plus, minus, numeric functions, plus, minus, subtraction, multiply, divide. All of these different things you would find in the functions palette here. You can also use inputs. One of the deals I'm going to show you a little bit later is actually going to be taking data from a data acquisition device known as a MIDAC. Get it in here. And that's going to be one way that we get data for our EI here. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these, and we're going to go ahead and create our first Labview program here. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to create a hello world. Oops. This is what I want right here. So we're going to create a hello world. So anytime I run the program, it is going to say hello world. So what I did here is I came in and I got myself what is known as a string indicator. Okay, so I put it in here and I placed it right in the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have that right here. I can actually double click and I can type in whatever I want up here at the top. So program working. Okay. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a constant. Okay. I asked if the program is working here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and type in yes. Okay. So if I push run and I see yes pop up, that's how I know that the program actually worked. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to stray away from the hello world. I don't want to be too cliche, and I want to make this my own. So I'm going to ask the program, is the program working? And if I click this arrow up here, so this is going to be our run. And then right here, once we get it going, it's going to show up as stop. Okay, so this is how you're going to start and stop your programs. Okay, so is the program working? Yes. So it's basically what I did here is I just assigned a constant value to a string indicator. So whenever I run the program, the string value should be set at this value right here. If I was to change this, to something a little bit more sarcastic, let's see what happens. I go ahead and click run. Maybe you tell me. Uh-oh. But what I've noticed here is that the full value of the constant does not show up in my indicator. All I need to do is resize my string indicator just a little bit, and I'm able to see exactly what this looks like. So, as I said before, just a basic beginner Labview VI telling me whether or not the program is working. And as I said, in the next video, we will be covering making data communicate using controls versus indicators, something a lot like what we just used, that string indicator. We're going to create a Fahrenheit to Celsius converter. So hope you enjoyed this first video. Hope you guys move on and you see video number 2. Have a great night.